silence, and the truth that could no longer be hidden. The meeting unfolded in absolute silence. A small room buried deep within the old estate, isolated from the rest of the world. Heavy curtains sealed the windows shut, blocking out daylight. Soft golden lights illuminated the space, warm yet powerless against the tension that pressed down on every breath. Angela Percy stood there. Across from her were her father and her older brother, people she had not faced like this in years. There were no tears, no dramatic reunions, no rushed embraces or emotional breakdowns. Only restrained gazes, tight controlled, and heavy with emotions that had been locked away for far too long. Her father had aged. The silver strands at his temples were impossible to ignore. The man who once stood unshaken before storms now carried the quiet weight of time on his shoulders. When he looked at her, his eyes trembled, for just a fraction of a second. Her brother stood beside him, still tall, still composed. His expression was calm, but the guilt in his eyes was unmistakable. It was the look of someone who believed he should have done more and arrived far too late. This meeting should never have existed. Yet none of them could avoid it any longer. Have you been living well? Her father's voice was soft, almost hesitant, as if raising it even slightly might cause something fragile to shatter. Angela nodded. It was only a small movement, barely noticeable. But it was enough. Enough to make him exhale slowly, the breath carrying years of worry and sleepless nights. They did not speak much. Every word was weighed carefully, measured and restrained. One careless sentence could cause the carefully constructed wall of secrecy they had relied on for years to collapse entirely. Before they parted, her brother spoke only once. "No matter what path you choose," he said quietly, "your family will always stand behind you." Angela smiled. It was faint, fleeting, quickly hidden beneath the brim of her wide hat, and the pale blue dress she wore, simple, discreet, carefully chosen to leave no trace. She turned away and did not look back. The world refused to stay silent. Only hours later, international media erupted. The Percy ducal family secretly appears at a private resort. Man believed to be Gu Cheng seen carrying twin children. Woman in pale blue dress appears beside him. Identity sparks global speculation. The photographs were taken from afar. Blurry, grainy, captured from angles that avoided clear facial recognition. Yet they were more than enough to ignite curiosity and chaos. In one image, Gu Cheng held the twins effortlessly, his movements natural and practiced, leaving no room for doubt. One child laughed brightly, tugging at his collar. The other slept peacefully against his shoulder, small hands curled into his suit jacket. And beside him, the woman in the pale blue dress. Her figure slender, her posture reserved, her presence quiet, yet impossible to ignore. The dress fluttered gently in the wind, revealing shoulders that were delicate to the point of fragility. Familiar. Terrifyingly familiar. Chen Hao sees her. At the top floor of the Chen Group headquarters, Chen Hao was in the middle of signing documents when his phone began vibrating non-stop. He glanced at the screen, then froze. His hand tightened around the pen until his knuckles turned white. His eyes locked onto the third image. There was no face, but that silhouette. The slight tilt of her stance. The gentle curve of her shoulders. The pale blue dress, one he had seen countless times in his memories. His heart skipped. Once. Then again, irregular, painful. "That's impossible." The words slipped from his lips, hoarse and strained. But reason had no time to intervene. Emotion betrayed him first. A familiar pain, sharp, suffocating, spread through his chest, tightening with every breath. If it was her. If it truly was her. His gaze darkened. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city glowed brightly, indifferent and alive. Inside him, a silent storm had begun. 3 days earlier, When Duchess Percy and her daughter arrived in the country, the first person they met was not the Gu family. It was Tran Din Long. The meeting was held in complete secrecy, inside a private room. No assistants. No recordings. No witnesses except 3 adults and 2 small children sitting quietly on the sofa. Tran Din Long observed the twins for a long time. Their eyes. Their noses. The slight frown on the boy's face when he tilted his head. He did not need DNA tests. He did not need confirmation. He knew. These children were Chen Hao's. The room fell silent. Angela stood straight, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. She did not avoid his gaze. There was no pleading, no fear. Gu Cheng stood beside her, calm, unreadable. After a long moment, Tran Din Long finally spoke. "What do you intend to do?" Gu Cheng did not hesitate. "I want to give the children a legitimate identity. And I want to protect their mother." The old man's eyes sharpened. "Do you know who you're standing against?" Gu Cheng met his gaze steadily. "I know very well." A long silence followed. Then Tran Din Long laughed softly, coldly. "Chen Hao was too slow. And you are brave enough to carry the burden." He turned to Angela, his voice lowering. "You've endured enough." Those words were the final judgment. The night of the banquet. The Gu family banquet proceeded as planned. The guest list included nearly every powerful figure in the elite circle. Chen Hao attended. Van Lan attended. Tran Din Long attended, as a distinguished guest. No one knew he already knew everything. When the Percy family entered the grand hall, every gaze turned toward them. Gu Cheng carried the twins. A boy and a girl. Exquisite features. An aura far beyond their years. Beside him stood the woman in pale blue. Quiet. Graceful. Unmistakably present. Chen Hao stood frozen. He saw no one else. Only the children. And in that moment, his instinct screamed a truth that nearly stopped his heart. Gu Cheng stopped at the center of the hall. The lights focused on him. "Allow me to introduce," he said calmly. "These are the children of the Gu family." The hall erupted. Gu Cheng looked down at the twins, his voice softening. "They are my children." Angela did not object. She did not explain. She simply stood there, calm to the point of coldness. At the front row, Tran Din Long nodded once. Just once. That was enough. The decision had already been made. Chen Hao felt his blood turn cold. He finally understood this was not a battle he could win. Not because he didn't love her, but because he had arrived far too late. Aftermath. That night, Chen Hao did not return home. He drove aimlessly through the city, watching lights blur past the windows. His chest felt hollow, heavy, and empty at the same time. 3 years. If she had stayed, would everything be different? He remembered the woman who once waited for him quietly. The one who never demanded, never complained. He thought he could do anything for her. But now could he accept children that were not his? He closed his eyes. The answer hurt more than he expected.